Greetings, dear guests, dear colleagues, partners. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Dmytro Kuzmenko. I am the CEO of Ukrainian Venture Capital and Private Equity Association, and I'm glad to welcome all of you to our special event dedicated to the Ukrainian Deal Review 2021, our special event. And I think you all understand why is it so special, because of the war started by our barbarian neighbor. But despite all the inconveniences and consequences that this war has brought us, we're not going to slow down or stop our development, our steps to our future, bright future. And we're not going to postpone in some kinds or postpone in some ways our development. So we are going to build our future ourselves, our bright future. Today, we will hear more information about Ukrainian investment market achievements, about our activities and our ambitious plans for this year. And let me introduce my colleagues and co-hosts for today's meeting. I will name them in the order of their participation in our speech. Sergey Tomas, managing partner of Kreston Ukraine. Here he is. Elena Malitskaya, CEO and founder of ISE Corporate Accelerator. And Andrei Kolodyuk, chairman of UVCA Supervisory Board, co-founder and managing partner of AVentures Capital, and member of the board of the Free Ukraine Foundation, the charitable foundation, who help us to support our Ukrainian startup community. And I hope
everyone.
Hello. And I hope one more guest speaker will join us later. It's kind of secret speaker. I hope he will join us in the end of our event, and we'll say a couple of words. So I think we can start. So I invite Sergey to start our event, to start the presentation of Ukrainian Deal Review, and to share with us the most important and relevant data from the review. So, Sergey, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Today we present the results of our annual Ukraine Deal Review 2021, as Dmytro said, which also includes the data for the first quarter of 2022. But first of all, I would like to say that the private equity and venture capital will be a cornerstone of Ukrainian new economy in the post-war period. From technology startups to manufacturing, small to medium-sized enterprises, and large multinationals, which I hope include Ukraine in their production chains. The PE and VC-backed companies will support the creations of new high-value jobs, driving prosperity and growth. Just a couple of seconds, I will share my ecran. Yeah. Before talking about the achievements of Ukrainian companies in attracting VC and PE investments, it is necessary to indicate which ones we considered as Ukrainian. We accounted the startup companies and other technology companies as Ukrainians. If the company has a significant presence in Ukraine, at least 30% of the staff located in Ukraine, and at least one of the company's founders is Ukrainian. As for PE segment, investment was noted as Ukrainian if it were directed to a Ukrainian company. Due to the special consideration, we also add to the report the investments into the following tech companies. Settle, the founder is not Ukrainian, but almost all staff is located in Ukraine. And People AI, the founder is Ukrainian, but only 15% of the company's team is located in Ukraine. This is like a market snapshot 2021. Ukrainian startups attract venture capital investments near 780 millions. That more than in 2020 by 46%. As usual, later stage projects attract the most essential part of the financing. In 30% of transactions in Ukraine, investors were foreigners, with more than 50% when it comes to early stages of financing. Such a proportion indicates that Ukraine maintains its reputation as a country of high quality, attractive, relevant solutions, and demonstrates stability and adaptability in the COVID environment in last year. As for the number of VC deals, there were 216 deals in 2021. Like last year, Ukrainian Startup Fund accounted for about half of the deals, 48%. The state-funded grant program of the Ukrainian Startup Fund was created to provide financial support to Ukrainian startups in the form of grants in the pre-seed and seed stages of 25 to 50,000 without equity participation. Totally, the effect of the program have already been felt by more than 250 projects. The government does not stand aside either, providing the industry with all kinds of support and assistance. The Ministry of Digital Transformation has launched the city, maybe you know, a unique virtual residency for the IT industry. The residence implies a special tax regime, special employment conditions, guarantees for the protection of intellectual property, the implementation of investment mechanism from English law. The city is expected to achieve Ukraine's strategic goals in the field of IT until 2024, namely to increase the share of IT in the country's GDP from 5.6% to 10%, to increase the income of the IT industry from $6 billion USD to approximately 70 billion per week. In this slide, you can see the share of top 5 companies in total VC funding was almost 61%. Among the leaders are such companies as Grammarly, People AI, Settle, Matter Labs, and Airslate. Grammarly is a popular auto-editing tool for writing. Maybe you used this. Has raised 200 million in funding. It has 13 billion valuation from new investors, including Bailey Gifford funds and accounts managed by BlackRock, among others. The company plans to use the investment to accelerate product innovation and team growth. P investments attributed to private equity reached 82.8 million USD, and these are only agreements with the disclosed amount. As usual, the segment showed a low level of publicity, unfortunately, and transparency of deals, as only a halt of transactions had amount disclosed. Sorry, half. Such funds as Horizon, Dragon Capital, and Concord Capital have traditionally acted as principal investors in the private equity segment. As for exits, this segment of the market showed a rapid jump. The number of such transactions was 44, which is 3.5 times more than in 2020. Almost 90% of the number are M&A transactions. A huge amount of the transactions was mainly achieved through the IPO of the tech company GitLab, the web-based open source Git repository manager. The shares trade on the Nasdaq Global Select Market, and a total of 10 million shares were sold for a total 800 billion. In 2021, 6 new players joined the Ukrainian venture capital market: GEEK Ventures, SID Ventures Partners, ZAS Ventures, Anchor, and PAWA offer Ukrainian startups financing of around $500,000, along with their experience and expertise. They aim, first of all, at high-tech products, the founders of which are Ukrainian. Despite the fact that these are new market players, according to the result of 2021, their portfolio already ranged from 3 to 9 products. R&D in Ukraine, world-renowned companies also did not ignore Ukraine last year. 19 of them opened their R&D centers, offices, and engineering hubs in Ukraine. The presentations were opened in the largest cities in Ukraine: Kyiv, Lviv, Kharkiv, Dnipro. Next slides. It's about our current data in Ukraine. Key facts of January-March 2022. In this quarter, the development of private technology investment markets did not halt despite the large-scale Russian aggression. In January-March, there were 11 venture capital deals of 11.5 million, 3 private equity deals of $4 million USD, and 8 exits of 135 million already took place. In addition, the war did not prevent the emergence of new players. One venture fund has already been raised, Kipra, in the amount of 25 million USD. The fund is ready to finance products in the amount of from half to 2 million USD, and has already replenished its portfolio with 2 products. International companies went on establishing new R&D centers and offices in Ukraine, like IPAM, AMBA, and Kanta from France. As we talked with our colleagues, we have some limited, our online conference. So my 7 means expired. So I just would like to move next stage to Dima.
You finished?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's my turn, and I will tell you about the UVCA itself. Just to let you know who we are and what do we do. Ukrainian Venture Capital Private Equity Association, that's our full name. It was established in 2014 in order to improve investment and business climate in Ukraine and strengthen startup ecosystem, to spread the word about Ukrainian achievements and opportunities, and to support investors in every aspect, from providing reliable information to establishing international connections at the industry and government levels. So by building a bridge between Ukrainian and global ecosystems, we facilitate the motion of knowledge and capital in both directions. What do we do? Lobbying and protecting. We protect investors' rights in Ukraine. It's sad, but it's true. Sometimes our government tries to steal something or to press investors. So we are fighting for investors' rights. We are lobbying legislation amendments in order to create better investment climate in Ukraine. And we are providing international support in lobbying. So we engage European Business Angels Network, we engage Invest Europe, etc. Next, educating. We are collecting and spreading the most relevant data on industry in Ukraine and abroad. We are holding numerous events with inspired guests on up-to-date topics. We are providing Ukrainian entrepreneurs, startup ecosystem, with new opportunities and knowledge. Next, we are conducting research. One of these researchers is the Ukrainian Deal Review. So we're compiling industry review overviews, joint researches, and assessments. We're providing information on the market, Ukrainian market, and its participants. Maybe you know, recently we announced the Investors Book 2021 edition. Pretty interesting resource to find out who is who in Ukraine among the Ukrainian investors. Later, I will give you more information on this Investors Book. We are spreading some researches from European Association. Next, promoting and networking. We are promoting Ukrainian investment opportunities and attracting foreign investors. We are organizing roadshows in Ukraine and abroad. For example, we had pretty good delegation in Las Vegas this year at CES. We had a pretty good delegation at Web Summit last year in Portugal. And last year in December, we had a pretty good summit, Private Equity and Venture Capital Summit, first of its kind. So we'll proceed it. Also, we're confirming the credibility of investors in both directions. Actually, in this case, UVCA is kind of tool for foreign investors and domestic investors to meet each other. International cooperation. We are participating, we are engaging Ukrainian startups to participate in joint educational programs such as Business Angel School. We started it with the Baltic Sandbox Accelerator, GIST programs, our American colleagues. We are participating in various international initiatives, and we are the reliable entry into the Ukrainian market for international investors. One of the kind of this entrance is participating in UVCA itself to obtain the membership in UVCA. Just a couple of words about this opportunity. For foreign investors, for foreign partners, it's pretty easy to become an UVCA member. We have such a kind of membership, it calls network member. That means that you are not headquartered in Ukraine, but you are interested in Ukrainian startups. you are interested in access to Ukrainian ecosystem, and you are looking for reliable local partners to conduct tech business in Ukraine. So I think when we win this war after our victory, the demand on this topic from international partners will be huge. So I encourage you to do not hesitate and join us in advance. Our ongoing big projects. First of all, our Investors Club. It's kind of matchmaking platform for UVCA members and partners that provides its participants with constant flow of offers and deals. This club helps in attracting investments in promising startups at different stages, and it helps for club members in attracting investments for their portfolio projects. Also, it helps to implement best relevant mechanism for joint investments. I mean, syndicated deals and crowdfunding companies. Another one big project, Fund of Funds. It's a sovereign wealth fund, which finding is combined with a matching investment from other well-performing funds. The objective is an additional capital injection addressing the pressing need for additional venture capital investment. Experienced venture capital firms will continue to professionally assess and vet potential investments. The Fund of Funds program is professionally managed by internationally recognized advisory board, but this project is temporarily postponed due to the war. And the final big project is Support Ukrainian Startups Now. It's a program of grant support for Ukrainian IT and startup companies aiming to provide aid for startups and specialists which are a part of the Ukrainian startup community and whose business needs help right now. This program aims to help to our startups, to founders and teams of startups that stay in Ukraine and not relocated to the Europe, to any of European country. So we are aiming at our local startups. Up to date, 21 startups have received cash grants totaling about $100,000. I hope my colleague Andriy Kolodiuk will share more details about this program in his turn. And just to finish my speech, I have sent more information in the chat, our website link, our LinkedIn account link. So feel free to visit our website, feel free to visit our LinkedIn account in order to get more information on our activities, achievements, and about membership. Please feel free to contact me personally. I will tell you everything you want to know about this. That's it from me, and I want to give the floor to Elena Malitskaya. Please proceed.
Hi, everyone. Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
I hope so. Let's now try to make it a little bit vivid conversation, and I will tell you reality how the life is going after the war. So recently I was in one conference, it was Alpha Wolves, and one fund came to me and said, so how is about entrepreneurship in Ukraine? I guess not much going on, right? You have war. And I was like, I'm sorry, we have war, but we are still alive and we are still fighting, all of us, you know. And actually, you know, it's something's going on because Ukraine is 40 million people country and only 150,000 people is fighting. So all the rest try to keep work. Yes, a lot of us relocated to the safer places, from eastern part of Ukraine to the central part of Ukraine to western part of Ukraine, and some of us are abroad now for the safety reasons. But it doesn't mean that we stop working. We had those amazing 2 years of COVID, of quarantine, where we've learned how to work distantly. And actually you see now how we can do it online, and we keep relationship, and we can do our jobs and assignments. So basically the whole ecosystem learned before how to work. Speaking about myself, I am founder of Accelerator, and I am in connections with about 3,000 startups. We have accelerated before the war about 50 startups, and they're here. Anna from Advent, Resume, it's our startup. Also, there was Ivan Mikulak. And what is actually exciting about those startups that Ivan, he was here. Yes, Anna, I see you. That he actually now is military service. So people even joining this conference being in the military service. And the co-founder of Resume startup, he is here, Roman Kirik, but his founder, Igor Aniskin, is also fighting now. Fighting in actually hotspots. So speaking about our ecosystem, how it goes, I will show you just a couple pictures, just make it more alive. Just a second. So do you see my screen? Please, can you say someone? Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. How
Yep.
to
Yep.
where? So it was our actually last event before the war. We were active and we didn't expect that it ever happened. And I have huge presentation how we're dealing with war, because that's what I'm doing now. I'm delivering the speeches, and I'm trying to make connections on behalf of my ecosystem just to bring more programs and more access to Ukraine. So the full speech is recorded on our YouTube, and if I would have more time, I can deliver everything. But I want just to speak about what's going on with startups. When people say that we are not working, it's not true. We already adjusted. We know how to work in bomb shelters. We know how to work in safe places. We know the rule of 2 walls. It means that you have to basically sit in corridor and to work. And what is remarkable in Ukraine, that maybe Ukraine is the second country in the world now in quality of internet and in digitalization. What I mean, that we are second in amount of Starlink devices that we have in Ukraine, thanks to Elon Musk, that they are supported us. Now it's everywhere, and we keep working. Our developers, our startups, our digital guys, they have access to internet, and we are connected. And it helps a lot during the war, because it helps find each other, find people, but also maintain our working conditions. And about our startups, they resumed their work. So most of them keep working. And this is about startups of different stages, early stage, later stage, Series A, Series B, they somehow all involved in the ecosystem and in war. And 17% of startups works. Maybe about 5 or 10% of our startups, they joined army, regular army. And actually I told about some of our startups that actually we raised. They decided that they should put their startups on hold and join the army. But there are also, again, our startups that we were accelerating, that they decided to join IT army or cyber army. What is this? It's special phenomenon that actually maybe belongs only to this war, because it wasn't like this before. Then community of IT guys, developers, hackers, startups, they create like this horizontal structure to conquer Russian IT sector, to get their information, to hack their servers, to hack their banks and so on, to understand what's happening in Russian informational space and to get those info. And our startups that we actually work together, they also decided, some of them, to participate in this. So startups are actually amazingly active during this war, either working or fighting or actually participating in cyber war. And speaking more about startups, how they are doing, these are 2 our startups, just to understand. One in data science and geodesign. He was in the beginning of the conference. The founder is Ivan Mikulak. He is great in artificial intelligence. So he decided to join the army. And the second one here is, you see guys from police, they also decided to put aside their startup, which is not small because it's already revenue generating something like $500,000 but they decided that, okay, we'll have to help the country. And speaking about female leadership, you know, like a lot of people say that we have to relocate and so on, but startups founded by females that we have, they actually now all in Ukraine. That's amazing because they decided also to join this movement. And 3 startups you see here, one is Natalka from our previous batch. She actually pivoted her startup. She's in fashion tech, so she's pivoting it to solve their army ammunition and to help actually with the army. Another startup, our female founder, she has music tech startup, but now she just volunteering rescuing animals, rescuing people. She actually, this lady was in Bucha. And what is remarkable about her that she can go abroad any time because she has home there, she has second home in Switzerland, but she decided to dedicate herself to Ukraine in those 3 months that we are fighting, she's fighting there. And third startup, just to understand, she really created this huge humanitarian structure and she sent like several thousand humanitarian trucks to Ukraine. And just to understand a little bit more what's happening, so this is some statistics. 85% do regular commitment, 2% join the army, 5% join the cyber forces. Yes, there are startups that are relocated, there are still in Ukraine. We ourselves as accelerator, as Ukrainian accelerator, we are keen to support especially those who stays in Ukraine. Why? Because for them, like I am their hands, I am their voice, and I'm the person who represents them and can speak on behalf of them. Because those who already relocated, they have access to venture funds in Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, everywhere in Eastern Europe. But those who stay in Ukraine and who decided to do themselves and who decided actually to fight, and I need to support them. And that's how we use our source and our team just to organize and create as much programs for startups that we can. Now I have to share the second presentation because for those who are here with us, let me just open it. We organized all the programs that we have. Just a second. We organize them in the same report that actually we are presenting today. If startups are present, you can guys download it from UVCA report, or also we have it in our resources, and see what you have, what opportunities we gathered for you. So the last section is whatever we already have. So we were the guys who pitched to Google the necessity of helping Ukrainian startups who are in Ukraine. The idea of Google was help, but help with co-working based in Warsaw. I mean, it's great, it's good, but it's not sufficient because 98% of startups are founded by men, and men cannot go from Ukraine. They're in Ukraine, and we need help those startups who are in Ukraine. So it took us about 2 weeks to convince them that, guys, I mean, you're a big company, you know, you are bigger than many states in the world, and you can do something more than just co-working. So thanks to them, they heard what we were saying, and they launched a special startup recovery fund. So startups, you know where to find it. All information is here in our report that Sergey already showed you. It's on UVCA site, or also we can send it to you. So please check and review the opportunities. Also, other companies like Amazon, Binance, Panda, they have in the programs that might be useful to you. Amazon, of course, as usual, helping just with their cloud services and so on, but still it might be useful for those of you who don't want to pay for this now. We also organizing Wolf Summit in May. This is an opportunity for you to be present in the market. Those startups who are here already in Western or Eastern Europe, they can go and join on behalf of Ukraine, or those startups who in Ukraine can send their female founders or female colleagues just to be present, practice, get some contacts, show yourself, and deliver a message to the whole European ecosystem that we are alive. And I'm happy to say that about 50 startups were registered, and I hope to see them and speak on behalf of them, and we will create this Ukrainian track. And if you guys, someone of you wanted to join us
Elena?
We lost her.
Yeah, she lost her internet, seems.
Yeah,
Also,
Elena.
yeah, it's just
Oh.
finishing. Couple more pages on another program. So all of them are in our report. Please don't do it. Thanks, Dima. I'm passing the word. I'm stop sharing the screen and give words to Andrei. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Elena. And last but not least from our speakers, Andrei Kolodyuk, I give the floor to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dima. On one hand, the last year was a record year for the old Ukrainian VC industry. And that was even 50%, almost 50% growth from the previous year, which is not bad. When we started 20 years ago, it's very privileged for me to say that was the first fund I started 2001. So for the 20 years, we achieved a lot, and we will continue to do so. But more importantly, after the invasion in 2014, in Ukraine, till now, the 7 unicorns have emerged and many more in our pipeline. And that's what drives all our community that been investing in the Ukrainian startups and getting global. So yes, after February 24, of course, it's a different scale. However, we've been already for 8 years in this type of mode, and we've been promoting Ukraine, making many parallels with the Israel ecosystem, being in the war but still performing, and this is what we are doing right now. And also on the UVCA side, on the third day, we started a very important campaign, stop doing business with Russia, stop doing business with Russian investors as well. So Invest Europe out of Brussels and all the national association had a conversation with. They also understood how serious it is now. And then you cannot be how pregnant anymore. You just make your kind of statement in life. And I'm very grateful that all the associations supported us in this. But the biggest support is basically to continue to invest in our startups. And we understand it was kind of first shock happened like in the first weeks and months. And this is why we are launched the program, Support Ukrainian Startups now. Basically, it's a grant and in-kind services to help those startups who are in Ukraine that don't have investors, but basically keep them going. Basically, our program is a kind of bridge for the next investments. And next week, we're going to have the demo day when you will see not only the 21 startups that we have supported, but obviously there are a few more hundreds in our pipeline. And we will try to promote them all because they're all good. And they, as I said, don't have investors yet. And this great opportunity to actually to invest in those. Okay, because our rationale, okay, it's kind of bridge financing for the grants in kind, but we are confident that they will get the investments because Ukrainian ecosystem is very integrated to the global one. More than 200 US funds invested in for the last years. Overall, for last 8 years, $1.5 billion been invested in all Ukrainian ecosystem. So it's pretty much big and scalable. And another comment is how important the PAVC industry is now and will be for the redevelopment of Ukraine programs. And this is the reason why we are supporting the Ukrainian startups, because this is a new Ukraine, and this is going to be people that not only be able to do the value creation, building global companies out of Ukraine. This is the people that are decided to stay in Ukraine and they're gonna rebuild the Ukraine. Okay, no doubt. So the Ukraine will be rebuilt by Ukrainian creative industry and the business sector. And this process already started, even focusing on the projects, impact, sustainable development, basically projects that address essential needs of the people on the ground. And we're working very closely with the international investors, impact investment houses to actually to do this, in order not to wait when the Marshall Plan will be created in a few years by politicians, but today the resilience coming from the private sectors that in the first 2 weeks donated $100 million to actually defend the country. Many went to the different army sources. Our cyber army consists more than 300,000 people that every day doing the job on the cyber front. So it's enormous. And this is why I have no doubt about the victory of Ukraine. And I'm sure that we're going to continue to do what we do. We are building the unicorns out of Ukraine. And as you know, and if you look at the history, even Ukrainian history, all innovations come when the people are in the, let's say, under unfortunate pressure. They are totally mobilized, and when this is why they need to be creative. Okay, and basically, I see many things that already coming out of Ukraine, and obviously on dual technologies, on the cyber front, and many other things. And the Ukraine project, in terms of the future, is a global project. And I'm seriously saying this because, you know, like many tech entrepreneurs now are going to syndicate to buy out the Twitter for the reason to get the freedom and so on and so on. But we invite them to not to focus on the Mars projects and other ones, but actually to build something good on our Earth. And Ukraine has a totally position for that in terms of community, in terms of integration to the global community, in terms of the legal framework. The DSCT was already mentioned, but also it's more importantly, the UVCA started 4 years ago, the blockchain policy paper creation, which ended up in February by the law, digital assets law. And all of a sudden, all the crypto community in the world just look at the Ukraine differently, and they helping a lot. But also they see it's a kind of powerhouse for the all innovation coming from Ukraine now, together with international community to actually change the world. Because it's very hard to change the Brussels. Even I'm being there for 75 days, I'm pushing them, but I know it's almost zero place for innovation, unfortunately. However, the blockchain and other technology will help to create the new governance, and Ukraine on this front will be the leader together with all international community. So please join us today on the Helping Ukrainian Startups program, on the investing in the Ukraine, I'll continue investing in Ukrainian startups because they're good. This is what I've been doing for the last 20 years, and my focus have not changed. We only do it the Ukrainian founders. And also, in terms of the next, please join us in the Rebuild Ukraine program, where the IT sector, not just because it's #1 export industry or the value creation coming, and obviously many people now going to be more engaged in the creative industry sector for the reason, and they've been taught how to do this for the last 2 years, and now unfortunately many been displaced, lost jobs. So we will see many people enroll in our industry, which is going to be very great. So everybody is welcome for the short time, and also to do what we're doing. And please join our events. The nearest one is Demo Day, and let's keep going and let's do something good. And I'm sure that Ukraine is a global project for everyone to contribute and do these great things together with us. So thank you, and let's do it. Let's continue to do so. Thank you so much.
Great words. Thank you, Andrei. As for the Demo Days, take a look at the chat. I have sent the link to the presentation, to the announce of our Demo Days. It's a video, so I think you will like it. And Adrian, hi.
Hello.
I can hear you. Yeah, hello. And here is our special guest, Adrian. I asked him to say a couple words about his thoughts on current affairs in Ukraine, on our ecosystem future and possible ways to improve our statements. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dmitro. Hello to all. I'm happy to be there a bit shortly, unfortunately. Look, I'm a Frenchman. I spent several years in the former Soviet Union, including Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan, and other. and I founded Ukraine Digital News, which is an English language news outlet that is about Ukrainian technology. I'm not going to say a lot about my vision of the future of the Ukrainian ecosystem and its global integration, but just a few thoughts, a few general thoughts, and then a few very concrete facts that I can tell you from France and opportunities from Ukraine for Ukrainian refugees, entrepreneurs or not entrepreneurs, have been opened in France recently, since I'm calling you from France. First, regarding Ukraine, in its global international prospects, of course, what has happened for the last 2 months and a half is extremely tragic. But on the other hand, there's a high chance that as soon as peace will come, there will be fantastic prospects of growth and prosperity for the whole Ukrainian nation and economy, including, of course, the digital and innovative part. Look, there's a real chance that in 1 year, there will be European peace coming up with European integration, a Marshall Plan, and a fantastic national energy in full integration with the global economy. And of course, this is not for sure, but it might well happen. This is why, for example, I don't see any such chance for the aggressors, but for Ukraine, there is such chance. So I really hope that it will happen. And in this case, since Ukraine entrepreneurs and IT specialists and professionals have demonstrated over the last 10 years their talents, I've heard that there's about 15 unicorns, Ukraine-founded unicorns in the United States. This number will be augmented several times. And I'm really confident in this capacity of Ukraine of retrieving, of resuming very strong and even improved and more integrated growth. So this is my hope for the future. And I would say that it's not only my hope, that the tragic events that have happened over the last 2 or 3 months have mobilized a fantastic openness and energy that wasn't there before all the time, from other countries, institutions, funds, etc., and just citizens. Not everyone knew what is Ukraine before the war. Now Ukraine appear as an international hero. So from the psychological point of view, this is a huge victory. Now you are in the center of attention of the whole world, and it is possible as soon as now, not only in case of peace, but as soon as now, to transform this into a path to developing strong project for Ukraine and for the world. Can you switch my video, because I hope to be seen, not only heard, but I can see the video was stopped.
No, we can see it.
I'm sorry for this state. Yes, I'm sorry. Perhaps these statements can sound a little bit generalistic. You already know, already know that, but I would like to. I wanted to state it again strongly. There's a fantastic openness for the whole world. Now the whole world knows about you. There's the, you're in the limelight of the scene, and this can be transformed for collectively and individually into possibilities, opportunities, cooperation, openness, and support to build great things as soon as now, and even more when peace will come back. So this is the general an illustration in France. France was not really and is not really in the radar of Ukrainian entrepreneurs and VCs or digital people. This could be seen before the war. Well, we made a study about Ukraine and the destiny of the best startups. We saw that the vast majority of them would go to Silicon Valley, not to Europe, to grow. And if they would go to Europe, it would be rather to Germany or England than to France or Poland than to France. So I understand that Ukraine didn't see and do not see right now France as a major destination. And it can also be seen in the number of refugees. We only have from Ukraine, of course, they are mentioned as the first or one of the first destinations. By the way, it was the same years ago for people from other countries struck by war, like Afghanistan or Syria. They all wanted to go to Germany or to England, but few wanted to go to France. So it's not surprising. On the other hand, I must also confess that Ukraine was not in the radar of French entrepreneurs. I know only few French entrepreneurs or French funds that were interested in Ukrainian startups until now. So this is a match that hasn't happened yet. But I would like to give you 2 or 3 examples of initiatives, readiness, willingness, the openness of French players, a variety of them, to welcome Ukrainians, not only as refugees, but to create for them real business opportunities. First, the French state. You know that over the last decades, France was not a country open to immigration. It has been difficult for many Ukrainians living in France to receive their legal status. There are many Ukrainians over the last decades that went to France to work in the construction industry or in cleaning services, etc. And some of them are illegal. But since the war started, the French authorities opened every possibility to have easily a permanent residence permit for Ukrainians. So now it's become easy legally for Ukrainians. This is not to mention the fact that over the last 5 years, we have an extremely generous startup visa program and investor visa program, one of the most generous in the world. It's for you and your family, it's 4 years that can be renewed just because you're a startup entrepreneur or you invest a relatively small amount in France, or you are an employee of a highly qualified employee in the digital field or not only. This now it's become easy. This is not only for Ukrainians, but it's become easy if you're one of these categories to come to France. So this is a double factor for the French authorities. The French tech visa that appeared 5 years ago, and for the last 2 months, the much easier than before opportunities to legalize if you are from Ukraine. Sorry. So this is the first layer, the legal layer. Then a few examples from the high-tech industry. One example is Capgemini. This is one of the global leader in IT consulting. They have around 300,000 employees around the world. It's a French company. They have just announced, well, not just announced, in March, they announced that they are recruiting massively Ukrainian engineers. They made a special program for that. I can share the in the chat, I will try to put the link. Just a sec. Yes, I put it in the chat. So this is an example, and you know, in France, as in many other countries, there's a shortage of HR, of IT specialists and professionals. So this is an example of opportunity, and they did a special program for them, for Ukrainians. Another example would come from Station F. Station F is one of the largest startup hub in Western Europe. It's not as large as Unit City, or what Unit City is supposed to be. That's true, but it's still the largest in France and in many European countries. They also announced facilities for acceleration and co-living. Just a second, sorry. Sorry. They have announced a program for Ukrainian startup entrepreneurs, not only with acceleration. So it's been generously announced and supported by Station F and their backers. And I would cite a third example that my organization is putting together right now in partnership with the UVCA and also Vinyl, two Ukrainian, as you know, organizations. My organization is called, is a French nonprofit called Alliance Tech. Let me send you the link. We have agreed with a huge French organization for temporary housing, social and temporary housing, and we are trying to build together an all-inclusive offer, including living, co-living, I mean, housing, co-working, meeting places, catering, as well as programs to support female entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs, or IT boot camps for refugees and or entrepreneurs that would come to France. And this could concern dozens or hundreds of people when this program is finished. It's not only for startup entrepreneurs, it can also be for the big numbers of female people who are there, who will be offered opportunities to get IT education or to create their own company in the framework of female entrepreneurship programs in several sectors, different sectors. So this program is not fully finished, but we're working at it. We're working about it with Mitro and Ivan of Vinyl. And hopefully in a few weeks, we'll be able to announce these opportunities for Ukrainians, refugees, female or male, as well as startup entrepreneurs to come and to be fully supported from housing to catering to co-living to acceleration and entrepreneurship support in France in good conditions. So these were the few examples of concrete help from several types of French players that are now available or will be available soon. And I'm sure this is only an example. There are many more opportunities in France, support in France, and many countries of Western Europe.
Thank you, Adrian. Just to follow up your speech, a little mistake, not Vinyl, but Vilny. It's Ukrainian word, means freeman, Vilny. But yes, we are working on this program, and I hope we will announce
Vilni.
it as of
Yes.
yeah, Vilni.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Vilni.
as I see, some of our participants just leave us because of lack of time, so I don't want to waste the rest of our time, and I'd like to thank all of you for participating in our event, in our market review presentation. Please feel free to contact us. Feel free to reach us in order to facilitate some more projects, in order to, I mean, any kind of cooperation, any kind of collaboration, please reach us and feel free to discuss anything you want with me, Sergey, Elena, Andrei. One more time, we're going to hold a demo days next week. I sent the announce in the chat. So please register and visit our demo days. It will be pretty exciting. It will be about 30 startups, different industries. And I think you will find something interesting during these demo days. Maybe somebody of my colleagues want to say a couple words.
Maybe just say your thanks words, yeah, for the presentation, yeah, for this opportunity, yeah, to share some information and to attract additional attention to our country, of course.
Thank you, Sergey. Andrei?
Well, let's continue to co-invest in the Ukrainian companies, and let's help Ukraine to win this battle for the Europe for all of us. So let's keep going. Everybody is welcome.
Thank you. Elena?
I'm sorry, I have to leave, but I left my email in the chat, and I'm very happy to help and talk with other people in France or Western Europe if I can. Дякую.
Thank you. Дякую.
Слава Україні.
Героям слава. Thank you all. If you need to get the market review, your copy of market review, just check the chat. Sergey sent the file, or you can find it at our website. So from me personally, I appreciate your time, and I'm happy to see all of you here today. Thank you, and I would like to thank my colleagues for this huge job, for this huge part of job they have made. And that's it. That's it. Thank you, and see you soon.
See you next week.
Have a nice day. See you.